Most people believe transformation requires massive action, dramatic changes, intense discipline, and sudden breakthroughs. But the truth is far quieter and far more powerful. Real change doesn't come from one life-altering decision. It comes from the smallest choices you repeat every day. The tiny habits you dismiss as meaningless are silently shaping your future, your health, your wealth, your confidence, your identity. Every glass of water, every page you read, every step you take, every excuse you make, they are all votes for the person you are becoming. And over time, those tiny actions don't stay small, they compound. They become destiny. This audiobook is not about overnight success. It's about building a system so powerful that success becomes inevitable. Chapter 1. The surprising power of atomic habits. Most people think success comes from big changes, a huge decision, a powerful moment, or a sudden burst of motivation. But James Clear shows us something surprising. Real change comes from tiny actions repeated every day. He calls these small actions atomic habits. They may feel small and unimportant, but over time, they can create massive results. Just like tiny atoms build everything in the world, tiny habits build your future. Imagine getting just 1% better every day. It may not feel impressive at first, but slowly those small improvements add up, and one day you realize your life has completely changed. In the same way, small bad habits can slowly pull you backward. Your life is shaped by the little things you do daily, not by one big decision. The problem is that progress often feels invisible in the beginning. We expect instant success, and when we don't see results quickly, we give up. But habits work quietly, like money growing through interest. Change is happening, even when you can't see it yet. Like an ice cube slowly warming up, nothing seems to happen until suddenly it melts. This chapter also teaches an important lesson. Goals don't change your life, your daily system does. Many people have the same goals, but only those with strong habits succeed. Goals show you where to go, but habits decide whether you get there. In simple words, the message is powerful. You don't become successful by making one big move. You become successful by making small good choices every day. Because in the end, small habits may seem tiny, but they have the power to change your entire life. Chapter 3, How to Build Better Habits in 4 Simple Steps. In this chapter, James Clear explains that every habit, good or bad, follows the same simple pattern. If you understand this pattern, you can build better habits and break bad ones more easily. He introduces the 4-step habit loop, which is the foundation of all behavior. 1. Cue the trigger. A cue is what starts a habit. It's the reminder that tells your brain to act. For example, waking up can be a cue to check your phone. 2. Craving. The desire. Craving is the feeling that makes you want to act. You don't crave the habit itself, you crave the reward it brings, like comfort, fun, or relief. 3. Response. The action. The response is the habit itself, the action you take. If it's easy and rewarding, you're more likely to repeat it. 4. Reward. The benefit. The reward is what makes your brain remember the habit. If the outcome feels good, your brain learns, let's do this again. This simple loop explains why habits exist. They help us solve problems and feel better. Good habits help us improve our lives. Bad habits give short-term comfort but long-term harm. The key lesson of this chapter is, if you want to change a habit, don't fight willpower. Change the system by adjusting the cue, craving, response, or reward. You can reshape your behavior. In simple words, habits are not random. They follow a pattern. Learn the pattern, and you can control your actions. Once you understand these 4 steps, you unlock the power to build habits that support your goals, your identity, and your future. Chapter 4. The Man Who Didn't Look Right. In this chapter, James Clear tells the true story of a doctor who could sense something was wrong with a patient even before seeing any test results. The patient looked healthy, but the doctor felt that something didn't feel right. Later, it turned out the doctor's instinct was correct. This story teaches a powerful idea. Our habits shape our ability to notice patterns and make smart decisions without overthinking. The doctor wasn't using magic or guessing. His mind had been trained through years of experience and repeated practice. Because of his habit studying cases, treating patients, and paying attention, his brain learned to recognize warning signs automatically. This is how habits work in our own lives. When you repeat good habits, your brain starts making better choices naturally. Over time, you don't need to force discipline, your habits guide you. The chapter also explains that the brain is always learning, even when we don't realize it. Every action you repeat trains your mind. Good habits train you to make smart, healthy, and productive choices. Bad habits train you to make poor and harmful ones. The key message is simple but deep. Your daily habits quietly shape your instincts, your thinking, and your future. What you practice repeatedly becomes automatic. In the end, this chapter reminds us that success is not about talent alone, it's about training your mind through consistent habits. Small daily actions build powerful instincts over time. Because one day, like the doctor, you will simply know the right choice, not by luck, but by habit. Chapter 5. The best way to start a new habit. Most people fail at building new habits because they try to change too much, too fast. They aim for big results, feel overwhelmed, lose motivation, and eventually quit. In this chapter, James Clear teaches a powerful truth. The best way to start a new habit is to make it small enough that you can't fail. Instead of trying to make a huge change, start with a tiny action. Something so easy that it feels almost effortless. The goal at the beginning is not to be perfect or impressive. The goal is simply to start and stay consistent. Clear introduces the idea of habit stacking, which means attaching a new habit to something you already do every day. For example, after brushing your teeth, you read one page. By linking new habits to existing routines, your brain learns faster and remembers more easily. This chapter also reminds us that being clear is more important than being motivated. Saying I want to exercise more is too vague, but saying I will exercise for 5 minutes every morning creates a clear plan, and clear plans are easier to follow. The deeper message is simple but powerful. Success doesn't come from doing something big once, it comes from doing something small every day. When a habit is easy to start, it becomes easier to repeat. And when you repeat it long enough, it becomes a natural part of who you are. Because real change doesn't begin with dramatic action, it begins with small steps taken consistently. Chapter 6. Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters. Most people believe motivation is the key to building good habits. They think, if I just feel inspired enough, I'll finally exercise, study, or change. But James Clear shows that motivation is unreliable, it comes and goes. Relying on it alone is a recipe for failure. The secret to lasting habits is something far more powerful: your environment. The spaces, objects, and cues around you shape your behavior, often without you noticing. Your environment can either make good habits easier or bad habits irresistible. For example, if you want to read more, place a book on your pillow. If you want to eat healthier, keep fruits and vegetables where you can see them and hide junk food out of sight. The simpler and clearer the cues, the easier it is to act. Yet Clear also explains that small environmental tweaks can have a bigger impact than willpower or motivation. Willpower is limited. Your environment works silently, automatically, and consistently. The chapter teaches an important truth. You don't need to rely on motivation, you need to design your surroundings to guide your actions. When good habits are easy to do and bad habits are harder to access, success becomes almost automatic. In simple words, your life is shaped by your environment more than your intentions. If you want to change your habits, start by changing your surroundings. Make the right choices obvious and easy, and the wrong choices hidden and hard. Because in the end, success isn't about trying harder, it's about arranging your world so that your good habits take care of themselves. Chapter 7. The secret to self-control. Many people think self-control comes from willpower, the ability to resist temptation. But James Clear explains a surprising truth. True self-control doesn't come from avoiding temptation. It comes from avoiding exposure to it in the first place. The chapter shows that habits and environment are more powerful than willpower. Your brain will always seek the easiest, most rewarding path. If unhealthy foods are in plain sight, if your phone is full of distractions, or if bad habits are convenient, it's much harder to resist. But if you remove the triggers, hide junk food, block distractions, make bad habits, inconvenient self-control becomes automatic. Clear emphasizes that success is not about fighting urges constantly. It's about designing your life so the right actions are easy and the wrong actions are hard. In other words, don't rely on your willpower, rely on your systems. He also points out a deeper lesson. Every time you remove a temptation or make a good habit easier, you are strengthening your identity. You become someone who makes better choices without struggling because your environment supports you. In simple words, self-control is not about saying no all the time. It's about arranging your world so saying yes to good habits is natural. Because in the end, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to make the right actions easier than the wrong ones, and your habits will guide you towards success almost automatically. Chapter 8. How to Make a Habit. Irresistible. Even the best habits fail if they don't feel appealing. James Clear explains that the secret to building lasting habits is making them attractive, so your brain actually wants to do them. The chapter introduces a key idea. We are more motivated to act when habits feel rewarding or exciting. The more enjoyable a habit feels, the easier it is to stick with. This is why people often fail at habits that are important but boring, like exercising, eating healthy, or studying. Clear teaches a simple trick. Bundle habits with something you enjoy. For example, listen to your favorite podcast while exercising, or treat yourself to a small reward after completing a study session. By linking a habit to a positive experience, your brain starts associating the action with pleasure. Another powerful insight is that we are influenced by the people around us. If your friends value reading, working out, or healthy eating, you're more likely to adopt those habits. The environment and social circles make habits attractive or unattractive even without you thinking about it. The deeper lesson of this chapter is, habits succeed not only because they are good, but because your brain wants them. Make the habit appealing, and it becomes easier to repeat. Make it boring, and it will always feel like a struggle. In simple words, when a habit feels good, your brain chooses it naturally. Success is not just about discipline, it's about designing habits that your mind actually craves. Because in the end, we don't do what we do what feels attractive. And the more attractive a good habit, the more it sticks, in shaping your life over time. Chapter 9. The Role of Family and Friends in Shaping Your Habits. We like to think that our habits are entirely our own choice. But James Clear shows us a deeper truth. The people around us shape our habits far more than we realize. Our social environment teaches us what is normal, acceptable, and expected. If your friends value health, learning, or discipline, you're more likely to adopt those habits naturally. If your circle indulges in laziness, junk food, or distractions, those habits become easy to follow too. Clear explains that we tend to imitate the habits of 3 groups. 1. The families we grow up with. 2. The friends and peers we spend the most time with. 3. The culture and communities we belong to. The chapter also emphasizes the power of identity. We want to fit in with the people we care about. If your friends are readers, you are more likely to read. If your team exercises regularly, you'll join in without thinking. Social influence doesn't force you. It nudges you toward habits that feel normal. The key lesson is simple. You become the average of the people you spend the most time with. If you want to change your habits, look at the people around you and surround yourself with those who encourage the habits you want to adopt. In simple words, good habits stick when they feel normal in your social circle. Bad habits stick when they feel normal too. Choose your circle wisely. It silently shapes your life every day. Because in the end, your friends, family, and community aren't just part of your life, they are part of your habits. Chapter 10. How to Find and Fix. The causes of your bad habits. Bad habits don't appear out of nowhere. James Clear explains that every bad habit has a cause, a cue, a craving, or an environment that triggers it. The first step to breaking a habit is understanding why it happens. For example, you might snack late at night not because you're hungry, but because you're bored or stressed. You might scroll on your phone not because you want to, but because it's always within reach. Bad habits are often automatic responses to hidden triggers. Clear teaches a simple method to break bad habits. Make them invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. Invisible. Remove cues that trigger the habit. Unattractive. Reframe how you see the habit, focus on the negative effects. Difficult. Make it harder to do the habit by adding friction. Unsatisfying. Add a consequence for doing the habit or reward for avoiding it. The chapter also emphasizes reflection. Pay attention to your triggers and patterns. Once you identify the cause, you can redesign your environment and your responses to prevent the habit from happening. The key lesson is simple. Bad habits don't control you. You just need to understand their triggers and design a better path. In simple words, to stop bad habits, find out why they happen, remove the triggers, and make them harder to do. Small changes in your environment and awareness can make breaking bad habits much easier. Because in the end, success isn't just about creating good habits. It's also about stopping the bad ones that hold you back. Chapter 11. Walk slowly but never backward. James Clear explains that progress is rarely dramatic. Most real change happens slowly, step by step, habit by habit. Success is not about speed. It's about direction and consistency. Even small improvements, repeated daily, compound over time. Improving by just 1% every day may seem meaningless in the moment, but over weeks, months, and years, it creates massive transformation. Similarly, small negative actions repeated over time lead to decline. The chapter emphasizes patience and persistence. Don't focus on instant results or big leaps. Focus on showing up every day, doing a little better than yesterday, and never falling backward. Clear also introduces the idea of tracking your habits. Recording your actions, even in a simple way, keeps you accountable and helps you see progress that is otherwise invisible. Small wins, no matter how tiny, build momentum. The key lesson is simple. Consistency matters more than speed. Progress is built on repeated small steps, not giant leaps. In simple words, keep moving forward, even slowly. Don't let temporary setbacks stop you. Each small action is a vote for the person you are becoming, and over time, those votes add up to remarkable change. Because in the end, success is not about rushing. It's about never moving backward and always taking one more step forward. Chapter 12. The Law of Least Effort. James Clear explains a simple truth. We naturally gravitate toward the easiest path. Your brain is wired to conserve energy, so it will always choose the option that requires the least effort. This is called the law of least effort. The good news is that you can use this to your advantage. If you make good habits easy to do and bad habits difficult, your environment will guide your behavior automatically. For example, lay out your workout clothes the night before to make exercising effortless in the morning. Keep healthy snacks visible and hide junk food out of reach. Clear also points out that you don't need more motivation or willpower. You just need to design your life so the right choices are the easiest choices. Small adjustments in your environment and routines can have a huge impact over time. The chapter emphasizes simplicity wins. The fewer steps a good habit takes, the more likely it is to stick. The more friction a bad habit has, the less likely you are to do it. In simple words, make good habits easy, bad habits hard, and your environment will do the work for you. You don't need superhuman discipline, you need smart design, because in the end, success is not about trying harder. It's about making the right actions effortless. Chapter 13. How to stop procrastinating by using the 2-minute rule. Procrastination often stops us from starting habits, even when we know they're good for us. James Clear introduces a simple but powerful solution, the 2-minute rule. The idea is this. Any habit can be started in just 2 minutes. You don't need to do the full habit right away. Just make it so small that it's impossible to say no. Want to read more? Start by reading one page. Want to exercise? Start by putting on your shoes or doing one push-up. Want to meditate? Start by sitting quietly for 2 minutes. Starting small removes the mental resistance that keeps us stuck. Once you begin, momentum naturally takes over and the habit often continues beyond the 2 minutes. The chapter teaches a deeper lesson. Success doesn't come from huge leaps. It comes from starting. Action leads to motivation, not the other way around. Small beginnings are the secret to building consistency. In simple words, don't wait for motivation. Start small, start now. 2 minutes is all it takes to begin, and from there, your habit can grow naturally. Because in the end, the smallest step forward is better than the biggest plan left undone, and small starts lead to massive results over time. Chapter 14. How to make good habits. Inevitable and bad habits, impossible. James Clear explains a powerful truth. The easier it is to do a good habit and the harder it is to do a bad habit, the more likely you are to succeed. Habits are automatic behaviors. If you design your life to make good habits inevitable and bad habits impossible, you don't need willpower. Success becomes natural. For good habits, make them obvious, easy, and convenient. Lay out your workout clothes to make exercise automatic. Keep healthy food where you can see it, so choosing it requires no effort. For bad habits, make them invisible, difficult, and inconvenient. Hide junk food or remove it from your home. Uninstall apps that waste your time. Add small barriers to actions you want to avoid. Young Clear emphasizes that environment design beats motivation every time. Your surroundings shape your behavior more than your intentions or your willpower. By designing your environment wisely, you make it almost impossible to fail and almost automatic to succeed. The key lesson is simple. You don't rely on discipline when your life is designed for success. Good habits become easy. Bad habits become hard. Your environment silently guides you every day. In simple words, set up your life so the right choices are automatic and the wrong choices are difficult. Small changes in your environment can make your success inevitable. Because in the end, you don't have to fight your habits, you just have to design them wisely. Chapter 15. The Cardinal Rule of Behavior. James Clear teaches a simple but powerful truth. We repeat behaviors that are immediately satisfying, and we avoid behaviors that are immediately unsatisfying. This is the cardinal rule of behavior change. If it feels good, you'll do it. If it feels bad, you won't. The chapter explains that habits stick when they provide instant reward. Long-term benefits alone are not enough. Your brain responds to immediate feedback. That's why many good habits fail. The reward is delayed, and the habit feels difficult in the moment. To make habits stick, make good habits satisfying, celebrate small wins, track your progress, or reward yourself. Make bad habits unsatisfying. Add friction, penalties, or reminders of negative consequences. Clear emphasizes that habit success is not about willpower. It's about creating immediate satisfaction. When a habit feels rewarding right away, your brain wants to repeat it automatically. The key lesson is simple. What feels good gets repeated. What feels bad gets avoided. In simple words, build habits you enjoy and make bad habits uncomfortable. This ensures your habits last because your brain naturally chooses the behaviors that feel satisfying. Because in the end, long-term success is built on short-term satisfaction. The small wins you feel every day. Chapter 16. How to stick with good habits. Every day. Building a habit is one thing, sticking with it every day is another. James Clear explains that consistency is the key to long-term success. Small, repeated actions create massive results over time. Missing a day isn't the problem. Falling off the track without getting back on is. The chapter introduces the idea of habit tracking. Recording your progress, even in a simple way, makes your habits visible and satisfying. A streak or check mark on a calendar becomes motivation to keep going. Seeing progress reinforces your identity and reminds you why you started. Clear also emphasizes the power of accountability. When others know about your goals or when you commit publicly, you're more likely to follow through. Social pressure and responsibility can help you stay consistent even when motivation fades. The deeper lesson is simple. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be consistent. Small habits repeated over time shape your identity, and your identity shapes your future. In simple words, show up every day, track your progress, and keep going, even if imperfect. Consistency beats intensity. Small, daily steps add up to remarkable change. Because in the end, success is not about doing everything perfectly, it's about never giving up and showing up day after day. Chapter 17. How an accountability partner can change everything. James Clear explains that achieving your goals is much easier when someone else is watching. Accountability partners, friends, colleagues, or mentors can dramatically increase your chances of sticking to habits. The chapter shows that humans are social creatures. We naturally want to look good in front of others and avoid letting them down. When we commit to someone else, we are more likely to follow through, even when motivation is low. Clear also highlights that accountability doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as telling someone about your goal, sending daily or weekly updates, creating a small commitment contract with a friend. An accountability partner adds structure, support, and external pressure that strengthens your habits. They remind you of your identity and your goals when your own willpower falters. The deeper lesson is simple. You are more likely to succeed when your actions are visible to someone else. Accountability turns vague intentions into real, consistent action. In simple words, share your goals, involve someone you trust, and let their support and expectations keep you on track. A good accountability partner doesn't just motivate, they make success almost inevitable. Because in the end, habits are easier to build and maintain when you don't have to do it alone. Chapter 18. The Truth About Talent. When genes matter and when they don't. Many people think talent is everything, that you either have it or you don't. James Clear explains a deeper truth. Talent matters, but habits matter more. Skills can be developed and small. Consistent effort often outweighs natural ability. The chapter emphasizes that we all have unique strengths, and understanding your natural tendencies helps you choose the right habits. Some people are naturally fast runners, others are naturally disciplined readers. But everyone can improve through consistent practice and the right systems. Clear also highlights that matching your habits to your natural abilities makes progress easier and more satisfying. Working with your strengths rather than against them allows your habits to feel effortless, which makes them more likely to stick. The deeper lesson is simple. Genes may give you advantages, but your daily habits determine your ultimate success. Hard work, consistency, and smart systems are far more important than natural talent alone. In simple words, focus on your strengths, practice daily, and use your habits to build skills. Natural ability matters, but consistent habits create real mastery over time. Because in the end, talent opens doors, but habits keep you walking through them every day. Chapter 19. The Goldilocks Rule. How to stay motivated in life and work. James Clear explains a simple but powerful truth. We stay motivated when tasks are just the right level of difficulty. Not too hard, not too easy. This is called the Goldilocks Rule. If a task is too easy, we get bored. If it's too hard, we get frustrated. But when a task challenges us just enough to push our limits, we feel engaged, motivated, and alive. This is where progress happens, where habits stick, and where we grow. The chapter shows that the key to long-term motivation is constant improvement. You focus on small challenges that stretch your skills slightly beyond your current abilities. This creates a balance. You're never overwhelmed, but you're never stagnant. Clear also emphasizes that motivation is easier to sustain when you can see progress. Tracking your growth, celebrating small wins, and pushing yourself slightly further each day keeps the task in that Goldilocks zone. The deeper lesson is simple. Motivation thrives on challenge, not comfort. The right level of difficulty keeps you engaged, learning, and improving every day. Find the sweet spot where your tasks challenge you just enough to grow, but not so much that you quit. Small, consistent challenges keep your habits alive and progress becomes natural. Because in the end, the key to staying motivated is to keep pushing yourself just enough to feel the stretch, but not so much that you break. Chapter 20. The downside of creating good habits. James Clear reminds us that even good habits can have hidden downsides. While habits are powerful tools for change, blindly following them can sometimes limit creativity, flexibility, and personal growth. For example, someone who exercises daily might neglect other areas of life if they follow the habit rigidly, or a person focused on work habits may miss out on relationships and experiences. Habits can make life predictable, which is good for consistency, but too much predictability can lead to stagnation or rigidity. The chapter teaches a simple but important lesson. Be mindful of your habits, not just automatic. Good habits are powerful, but they should serve your goals, values, and long-term growth, not control you. Clear emphasizes balance. Keep habits flexible enough to adapt to new challenges. Avoid letting habits make you blind to new opportunities. Reflect on whether your habits truly serve your life or just your routine. In simple words, habits are tools, not rules. Use them wisely and don't let them limit your life. Even good habits need awareness, reflection, and balance to help you grow fully. Because in the end, habits give you power, but only if you remain the one in control. Conclusion. The secret to results. That last James Clear closes with a simple but life-changing truth. Small habits, repeated consistently, lead to remarkable results. Success is not about sudden transformation or bursts of motivation. It's about the tiny actions we take every day. Your habits shape your identity. Every action, no matter how small, is a vote for the person you want to become. Good habits build the life you want. Bad habits hold you back. The key is awareness, consistency, and smart design. Clear reminds us that focus on systems, not just goals. Systems create lasting progress. Goals only point the way. Make habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Small adjustments in your environment and mindset make success almost automatic. Stay consistent, not perfect. Progress compounds over time, even when it feels invisible. Use your social environment and accountability wisely. Surround yourself with people and systems that support your growth. The deeper lesson is simple. You don't need to make massive changes to transform your life. You just need to start small, show up every day, and let the power of atomic habits do the rest. Start tiny. Stay consistent. Design your environment, and let your habits build the person you want to become. Your life is not the result of one big decision. It's the sum of hundreds of small, repeated actions. Because in the end, lasting change doesn't come from motivation or talent alone. It comes from the tiny habits you commit to, day after day,